embracing the belly roll today, the jeans belly roll. Hello and welcome to day 21 of May, Myself and I. I'm a bit more on it today. I went for maybe my worst run yet this morning. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you will already have heard the story, but I got to a kilometre, absolutely fine. One of my faster ones, I think it was like 6 minutes 40 something. Got to 1.5 and I was like, wow, my ankles are on fire. Like, I genuinely feel like I'm leaving flames behind me like a DeLorean from Back to the Future. I was in agony. So I thought I'd just walk for 30 seconds. That was my mistake. As soon as I started walking, fire everywhere, agony. So I carried on after 30 seconds, but I only got another kilometre before I was like, I need to stop because, ow. And then remembered my ankles were completely swollen from the plane. And I've never, my ankles aren't the best anyway, so they ache a bit when I run, but never like that. Like, they're still aching now. So it has to be something to do with the fact that they were all swollen up and clumpy from the plane. So that made me feel really good this morning, yay. But it's fine, I'll just take it easy. 10K on Monday. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. And the more I say it's gonna be fine, the more I'm putting that out into the universe, who hopefully won't just give me the cold shoulder. I also have a fitting for Fontaine today. My first fitting. I'm very excited about it. I don't really have anything to say on that other than yay. Today's word is space. I am a big fan of space. I have visited Kennedy Space Center a few times in my life. My dad is sort of at the forefront of my love of space. He was obsessed with the space race growing up. He watched Neil Armstrong's first steps on the moon on TV, which I think is super cool. When I was in year 3 or 4, maybe, I remember we had to write an essay on this website that we were learning to use. I'm guessing it was an IT class, I can't remember, but we had to write like a little essay in the About Me section, and it had to be about something that we were passionate about, I think was the criteria. And I wrote about how much I loved space. And I remember I called it something like Smavenge Snup, which is like the acronym that isn't really an acronym because it's not any kind of legible, coherent word. But that is the acronym for all of the planets in order. I don't know if I can actually remember it. Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto. I need to look up whether that's right. I will be so impressed with myself if that was right. I'll be quite pissy if it's not. Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. I forgot Saturn! Or did I? I feel like I forgot Saturn. Maybe I didn't. Sorry, Saturn, if you're listening. In fact, do you know what? I'm not going to apologise to Saturn because I have all of the planets, including Pluto, for everyone that always asks me every time I talk about this tattoo. I have the silhouettes of all of the planets in black tattooed on my right foot, and Saturn is one of the bigger planets. Jupiter's the biggest, but next to it is Saturn, and it was over one of the tendons in my foot, and it hurt so much, so much. Even like Jupiter, which was the biggest one, because it just missed that tendon, it was fine, but Saturn, right over that little tendon, oh my god. But even the fact that I have the planets tattooed on my foot goes to show how much I love space, and I follow NASA on Twitter, and I have watched, in fact, years ago when I was about 15, 16, there was a whole thing where the astronauts were woken up every morning with a song on the International Space Station, and I think my brother tweeted something like, wouldn't it be amazing if they woke them up with Stargirl, which is one of McFly's songs. And the Galaxy Defenders, who are McFly's fans, bombarded NASA's social media asking them to play Stargirl to the astronauts, and they did it, which is insane. And as a result, they then contacted Tom and invited him and us as a family to go out to Florida and watch one of their shuttle launches, and we got to watch it with everyone who was like involved in sending it into space, and we watched it from the closest point that you can watch a shuttle launch, which I think is 4 miles or 6 miles, I can't remember. But it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. It was at like 4 o'clock in the morning, so we all had to be there really early. We ended up like sleeping in the car in Florida in the car park of a hotel somewhere. But it's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. My brother filmed it. I think there's a YouTube video. I will link to it below. It's unreal. And it was really fun for me to watch my dad get to meet Bill Anders, who was one of the astronauts on Apollo 8. And it's the closest I think I'll get to seeing my dad fangirl. It was just wonderful. It was so cool. I made a video a long time ago as well called We Are Made of Stardust, I think is the title of that video. And in that video I just talked about the fact that the reason I love learning so much about space and the universe and galaxies and solar systems and all that jazz is because it kind of puts everything into perspective. If you feel like you're sort of having a hard time or things aren't going so well, looking at pictures of the Earth from like a long way away, or pictures of galaxies that are literally millions of light years away, it kind of just makes everything that we're doing on this tiny little planet floating in the middle of nothingness, it kind of makes me feel like all of my trivial first world problems are just that. They're trivial and small and pretty insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Of course it can go the other way and make you feel like this infinitesimal speck of dust in this ever-expanding universe, but let's not go that way. Let's just not go down that road. I have not watched that video in a very long time, so I might even watch it myself to see what idiotic things I said back then. Probably much the same as now. I will see you tomorrow.